It's your favorite time of the week. Yes, this is Tuesday night Bears Therapy, where every week we create a safe space where you can come listen and realize that everything isn't as bad as it seems regarding your favorite football team that probably dictates way too much of your happiness on a daily basis. As always, Bears Nation Podcast and Tuesday Night Bears Therapy is brought to you by BetStamp. BetStamp provides users with the best line shopping experience, verified bet tracking, top-notch betting education, and a commission-free marketplace. You can use code BEARS, that's BEARS, on BetStamp after you download the free app from the App Store and let BetStamp make you the best better you can be. Kellen Garenstein here alongside myself, Kevin Lapka, and it is a much-needed, as it typically is, a much-needed Tuesday night Bears Therapy after that loss against the Commanders. Kellen, I was there at Soldier Field. You were watching, and I think we were texting during the game or after it. I don't remember, but boy, we were not in good spirits at the time. But Kellen, it's been 5 days now. We've watched the tape. We've read some things. We've looked back at it. We've watched other teams have equally inept offensive performances. Yes. Not equally, but pretty damn close. And I'm feeling a little bit better, Kellen. I'm feeling a little bit better than I did when I was walking out of Soldier Field on Thursday night.
Yeah, I'm not feeling great. I'm not happy. The Bears do dictate too much of my life.
They do. They do.
And every time, you know what the worst part about it is, Kevin, is no matter how bad they are, we're always going to come back the next week.
Yep.
It's always going to be like, well, this week might be different. Because guess what? 1 week it will be. It will be different. It might not be the next one or the one after that. But 1 week we're going to show up and it will be different and it will look different one of these days. But
one of these years, maybe, Kellen.
One of these years. But it is rough. The offense especially. We'll get into a little bit of everything, but just to kick it off, I was pretty pleased with the DB play. Not that Carson Wentz is the greatest challenge in the world, obviously, but the defense for the most part was solid. That's about it. That's about all I can say. Dante Pettis actually didn't make me want to throw myself off of a building. I know he dropped that last one. It would have been a really tough catch. If he had made it, it would have been pretty phenomenal.
That was PI too. I mean, that was a blatant pass interference call at the end. Now, you can't blame the game on it, but
right.
It's got to be cool.
But I mean, in that situation though, you get 4 more downs. You know what I mean?
Right.
You get an extra.
Who knows if they even put it in?
It's like at this point, it probably doesn't even matter, right? Like the Bears could have got 10 tries and wouldn't have scored. But it's rough, man. It's rough. We'll get into some breathing techniques and whatnot later.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I'll lead it off with this. Again, we're here to make you guys feel better. Anyone who's listening to this, if you're listening in podcast form, if you're watching live on YouTube, Twitch, or Twitter, we're here to make you feel better. That's the goal here. We're trying to make you feel a little bit better. And again, like the national narrative, even the Bears, media narrative, and inside of this market, it's all bad. Everything's bad. Burn everything to the ground. And, that's not always the way it should be, but you're so led to believe that everything is terrible. And yes, things aren't good. I'm not sugarcoating that. Obviously, things could be better for this team, but at the same time, I do believe that they could be worse. And I'll lead it with this. You take the team that you hate the most, right? The Green Bay Packers, and watch their fans right now. All right. They have people on Twitter calling for Jordan Love to be the quarterback. Like that is where they're at right now in Wisconsin. So just knowing that should make every single Bears fan feel a little bit better. The fact that their offense has been close to as bad and close to as difficult to watch as our offense has been. And that's saying something when you have Aaron Rodgers at the helm and they drafted rookies and they have, apparently weapons that are supposed to be good enough to be a good team. And they're just not. And, it sure makes you feel that at the very least, if the Bears aren't struggling, we know as Bears fans, our source of happiness is from the Packers struggling. So there's one thing going for us, Kellen. There's one thing going for us. And I'm going to pop open this beer. I brought an adult beverage.
Nice.
I need it, bro. I need it. I popped it open. Here we are. Nice. It's Tuesday Night Therapy. Let's go.
I've got water, but
hey, that's good. You just came from practice,
Yeah.
I didn't work out today. I'm good. But let's start on offense, kind of. All right. So real quick, we got Ron Winarski in the chat. Shout out to him. He says Marset is cut. I love it. Yes.
Mhm.
That's a good thing. Unfortunately, we obviously know what transpired for Ihmir Smith-Marsette. Not only
Mhm.
was it throwing the game against the Vikings, that fourth down play on the second to last drive in the fourth quarter, Justin throws an absolute strike while getting
Hit
hit
him
right
right
in
on
his
his face
hands in
mask.
a tight window. Just missed it. And he also, Ron Marcy says FGB, which for those who do not know means fuck Green Bay. Yes, this is going to be a profanity filled podcast, likely because this
It's
is what we do
therapy.
at therapy. This is what we do. But let's start on offense, Colin. All right, we saw a lot of bad, and obviously most of the conversation directed towards the Bears and most of the negative energy directed toward the Bears is because the offense put up 7 points against the Commanders, who are a 1-4 team. Justin Fields isn't developing the way people want. Everything's bad. The offensive line still doesn't look good. The playmakers obviously aren't making plays. Just started off here with sort of a broad view of what you're seeing on offense and why, if it is true, things might not be as bad as it seems offensively. I
Yeah.
know it's a hard thing to do.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and make the case though. I really am because that's just who we are. That's why that's kind of me and you. That's our MO is the positive Bears fan. That's what we do. Um, let's be honest. Justin Fields is underperforming right now. We would love for him to do a little bit better than what he is. There seems to be an element where he just doesn't trust what he's seeing because on that first drive of the game, there was he went through his reads, he had the time, and he got to the backside of the what looked like the backside, looked like he went left to right. And I think it was Mooney who he's Sunday open. You know, I mean, he's got a
That's how you
step of
tweet that. Yeah.
separation. Yeah. Sunday open. And he didn't throw it and he took a sack. I don't know why he didn't throw it. And that leads me to believe that it's a lack of trust because regardless of what you want to say about what he's seeing, he's thrown to guys that have had that type of separation before. I mean, granted, he's played with a receiving core that not when he was there. CJ Stroud has probably played with a better receiver core than what the Bears have now. But I don't know if Justin Fields has. At least with Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave that last year and Jamison Williams hadn't become quite yet what Jamison Williams has become. So
Right.
did you address the fact the team has no line? We'll get there. I don't know what it is. I don't know if he doesn't trust that like he'll get the throw off in that instance, or if that the separation that Mooney has isn't what he felt comfortable throwing into. I don't know. Regardless, he has to rip that because he can. That's what he's drafted to do. That's probably what he's trained to do. I'm sure he's kicking himself over. Like we can be real. Like he probably went back in the film room. He probably went back to the sideline and guess he was probably like, "You missed this throw. You missed it."
Right.
And he probably knew it. You know what I mean? So whatever, it's done and gone. But I think there's a lack of trust. And, we can be as optimistic as we want to be, but in the grand scheme of things, this Bears receiving core is bottom 5 in the league. The offensive line is bottom 5 in the league. Justin Fields is underperforming. He was set up to underperform. He was set up to fail. And if you want to say that he's failing, go ahead and say it. But there has to be context with it. Is Fields the future? Absolutely. Absolutely, he's the future. Now, the problem becomes, and this is what happens with developing quarterbacks, is when you get these guys into these bad habits, like Justin has toward the end of the game, he just wanted to break the pocket because he was getting killed every play and because he just couldn't see guys get open. So he's like, fuck it, I'm the best athlete. Let me just run. And it was working, right? He was getting first downs, and that's how we almost won the game is that last big run he had. Like, I'm fine with him trusting his legs. Another problem, becomes where Luke Getsy sees that and it's like he obviously feels comfortable throwing on the run. He obviously feels comfortable letting his legs be a part of his game. Why is that not more a part of the offense? The offense, it's the same thing, Kevin. We should keep saying it because it's true. The offense cannot be for Luke Getsy to say, this is what I've seen work with X quarterback, Y quarterback, and Z quarterback.
Correct.
The offense needs to be, I have this quarterback. This is what he's good at. Let me build what he's good at into what I do instead of fitting him into what I've seen work. Those are two very, very different things. And with a young quarterback in a city and a franchise that has been begging for someone of his talent, his caliber, his athleticism, his arm for as long as it's been in existence. And it's the oldest franchise in football as of right now, I believe. For Luke Getsy to ignore that, it's a problem. It needs to be addressed. And I did think Luke Getsy called an okay game as far as, just designing a pass game. But again, the
Yeah.
problem is like it doesn't make sense for Justin because the comfortability has to be for Justin. It doesn't have to be like, well, this was open and this was open. Like if the guy doesn't see it during the week, if it's not working during the week, it's not working during practice, and it's not working consistently, there has to be changes made. I'm not saying throw the entire thing away, but I think he threw 2 bootlegs, 2 of those, stretch fake zone roll. He threw one to Mooney and he threw that one to commit. It was actually a little late on the commit throw, but it was really accurate right over a defender and right under the guy underneath or over the top, and it was a first down. I think those were the only 2. There has to be more. There has to be more, and you have the only strength of this offensive line right now is running those anything outside the tackle, whether it's stretch zone, whether it's toss crack. Like those guys actually get on the edge and they do a really good job of moving bodies horizontally.
Yeah.
But we don't build off of that enough, and I don't understand why that is. Justin Fields does not have to take a 3-step drop from the shotgun every time. Like there should be more play action. Here's a thing that I thought of, Kevin, and I know I've been kind of rambling for a minute now, is for Justin, let's assume that everything to him right now is moving just a little too fast. Let's assume that, right? If his eyes see one thing pre-snap, right? And this is what defenses in the NFL do because they're NFL defenses. They move, they fool you, they do a whole bunch of things. I think when Justin Fields does that play action under the pocket, right? I take the snap, boom, set hut. I turn back. He's seeing 2 different pictures, right? I think that's a lot easier to process when you completely have to forget the first picture, which is pre-snap, and then you see the second picture. The pre-snap doesn't matter. What you see after the handoff is the only thing that matters. So once you see that, it's like, oh, this is cover, blah, blah, blah. This is fire zone. This is, I have pressure off this edge. This is where my hot throw is. Instead of take the snap, 3-step drop, process everything. When I get to the top of my drop, go through the read. That's a lot happening at once. I think for a young QB, that might actually make a difference, is to separate those pictures and for Justin to know that first picture doesn't matter and that exactly what's happening at the top of that drop is. Now, I know like someone could look at me and say, Kellen, well, an NFL quarterback needs to process that. Sure, but are you making it easier on your franchise guy? That's what it comes down to at the end of the day. You do not have to make football hard because it's at a high level. That's what I think. I think there needs to be more play action. I think Justin Fields needs to turn his back more to the defense, and then need to use his legs more. The legs obviously need to be a bigger part of the offense.
Yeah, and again, multiple things can be true, right? I think there's a lot of people who see my tweets and they, see our tweets and they're like, well, this is just blind defense of Justin Fields. And that's not the case. Again, we have made it clear that should he be better? Yes. In certain areas, he 100% should be better. But everything as it is in football and baseball and basketball and everything in life, it comes with context. And the context is the offensive line isn't good. The receivers aren't good. And it makes it a heck of a lot more difficult. The play calling hasn't been good for him. It makes it a heck of a lot more difficult for him to be, who he wants to be at this given moment in time. And part of it is this. The whole conversation regarding Justin Fields in the quarterback position in Chicago is this. A lot of people say, well, why did Mitch Trubisky get the benefit of the doubt? Why did he get three to 4 years before fans were truly out on him, right? Because every year it was like, oh, maybe this year he'll take a step forward because we got laser call in place now, or he's developing, or he changed something in the offseason. And, the question that I have sometimes like, well, why doesn't Justin get that benefit of the doubt? He hasn't even played a full season yet. I mean, I actually think this week is his 17th career start, or he made his 17th career start last week. It's right around that full season mark, right? Where we could finally get past, well, he's, theoretically a rookie when you quantify his starts. Here's the problem when it comes to Justin Fields and why he doesn't get the benefit of the doubt. And the problem is this. Obviously, history plays a factor, and Bears fans are so starved and desperate that patience becomes, less because of that. But also, given the fact that he is the most talented quarterback to ever be drafted to this organization, the expectations for him just naturally are higher. And knowing how smart he is, knowing how capable he is as an athlete, people are also a little bit concerned or worried that, well, we understood things were wrong last year, and we understood that there was a couple of things in his game that he needed to improve on, but we had belief in his ability as just a player and as an athlete to develop and change the things that he struggled at and become a better passer and better player because of it, and they haven't seen that development, and then people are worried because of that. So like everything is stacked against him when you think about the history of this franchise, the fact that he is by far the most talented player to come through the draft, because the problem with Mitch was everyone knew that he was the most talented player at the time when he was drafted. People knew that he had raw talents, and they were willing to give him a little bit more time because they knew it would probably take more time for him to become like his counterparts, Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes, just because that's the narrative when he was drafted. You know, he's a guy with a lot of raw talent, but he kind of had to put some things together. And with Justin, you're this guy who was arguably the best, college football player at the time. We thought he should have, we thought he was better than Trevor Lawrence coming out of the draft. And we weren't the only ones who thought that he should be good immediately. And the fact that that's not happening, everyone's clock is off. Everyone thinks that it should have happened already because we've seen it before. And now we're at a point where it's a comparison game between, well, look at guys who have struggled in their first couple years and have gone on to be great quarterbacks. And obviously the most notable comparison is Josh Allen. And the thing is this, and Jake gets really mad when people start comparing it, and I sort of do too. Like, we're at a point now where Justin has to write his own story. You know what I mean? Like, Justin's journey and path to become a great quarterback in this league is going to be completely different than anything we've seen before, right? Things are stacked against him. His receivers and playmakers aren't good. His, play calling isn't tailored. Also, his development just as a player himself is a little bit different, right? Like, it's enough of the comparisons. I'm sick of the comparison. Well, what if he's like Jalen Hurts? What if he's like Josh Allen? No, like, we think he's going to be great at some point in time, but stop trying to put a schedule on it. Stop trying to do this comparison game, because that's where things get lost, right? The moment you say, well, in 18 games, Josh Allen was doing this and Justin's not doing it in 20 games, that's where you throw yourself in the loop, because you can't compare what Josh Allen was given, after those first 24 games or whatever, when he finally got Stephon Diggs and when he got Gabriel Davis and when he got an offensive play caller and Brian Daboll who knew what the hell he was doing, right? The comparison game is going to drive you insane. And I know this is just this is what the media does. This is what fans do, because it's for them, it's a source of hope, right? Well, if he did it, so can Justin. You got to throw it away. You have to understand what we're looking at here. What is given to us with the Bears and with their offense. It's going to be a non-traditional path, the path that Justin takes to be great. And it's two things, right? It's a hard thing to accept, because you might have to understand and realize that, hey, we've got 11 games less this year. We might not see the ceiling of Justin Fields this year. But at the same time, it's a source of optimism and it's a source of hope, because that ability is there once given the right tools. And the second part of that is you have the tools to give him those resources in the offseason. Other teams who have this same issue, who have a quarterback and you don't know where your team's at, they don't have $150 million in cap space. They don't have 7 draft picks, including a first rounder. Take a team like the Denver Broncos, right? That's a great example. Quarterback's not playing well, all these problems. They have good playmakers and they're still not doing well. So the Bears situation could be a lot worse. And Justin Fields, you just have to kind of accept that Justin's path is going to be different. This year might be a little bit more unconventional, but that's just the way it is, man.
Is Jake still out on Justin Fields? Is that his stance?
He's not out on him, but I'll put it this way. If the Bears got a top 5 pick and Bryce Young or CJ Stroud were sitting there, if he were the GM, would take them, which I think is asinine. But
that's why Jake's not the GM.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. If you're watching this, how we feel about this, Jake. And we'll argue all fucking day. When you come on for the preview show, we'll probably argue about it some more. But that's where I stand with Justin and all of the sort of talk around him. And I don't know, like that's just the best way I can put it. Stop the comparisons. His path is going to be different, and hopefully, you hope that in 5 years, right, when the next rookie quarterback coming out of the draft class struggles after 17 games, the next comparisons at that point are, well, look at what Justin did in those 17 games. Look at him now, right? Yeah. Hopefully at that point he's an all-pro. He's a Super Bowl contending player, and, he's just going to have to write his own story. And there's no one more capable of doing that than him. So,
Amen to that. I love it. I love it. The thing, the thing that is, it's not smart to compare him to Josh Allen is like they have to work on two completely separate parts of being a quarterback. Where Justin has to speed his own internal clock up and slow the game down, which I think that will happen. That will come with time. I mean, like we said, he's only played what 16, 17 games, 16, 17 starts. Josh Allen was not accurate when he came into the NFL. And one thing you don't really, and I know like people are going to be like, well, he missed a wide open throw to Ryan Griffin. He's missing throws. And I understand that that's valid criticism. And this comes back to parts where he just looks uncomfortable. But accuracy and arm talent, like the basis of being a quarterback is there for him. The basis of why you draft a quarterback, the talent of it is all there. And that's where I don't
Correct.
understand why the doubt for him comes where we see the situation that he's in. I would love a Megatron, but I don't know if there's another Megatron coming around anytime soon. As much as I love Jackson Smith and Jigba, I'd love
He ain't no Megatron.
He ain't Megatron. But it's all kind of mental work for him and trust. And unfortunately, like if he was to stand in and make these throws, a lot of them that we would ask him to make, he'd have taken 20 more hits at this point, which is way too many for a 23-year-old quarterback. I'm sure Justin Fields, there's a part of him that's like, I need to play in this league for 15 years. I can't be RG3. I can't be, name someone else who I know, right? Name someone else who took a lot of hits and just, didn't pan out. But
Tua, I guess. I mean,
or take like even Cam Newton. Like Cam's prime really wasn't that long. You know what I mean? And they have similar play styles. He grew up watching Cam. They're both, Justin's from Georgia and Cam was down there a lot. You know what I mean? So I'm sure he doesn't want to be that. And for him to, he doesn't have the physical build that even Cam does. So for him to rely on his legs and for him to kind of say, I'm just not trusting it right now. I have to rely on myself more than I can before anyone else. That's just the point of the development we're at. And that's the problem. And I can't say I blame Ryan Poles because this is just the hand that Ryan Poles was dealt. As frustrated as I am, we could go get an OBJ, a Will Fuller, someone who could help. Like the Ravens just signed Deshaun Jackson, regardless of how much.
Come on. What does Deshaun Jackson do? I know what you're saying, but Deshaun is just weird. Like,
I know I don't get it. They think they're helping Lamar, but whatever, right? So it's just it's unfortunate that this is the point that he has to go through because this is everything that he's going through now is what Mitch went through as a rookie, and in that second year is when we got. We had that offensive line take a step forward. We got A-Rob and Taylor Gabriel, and we were all excited to draft Anthony Miller. And even myself, I was like, dude, Kevin White's healthy this year. Like, oh yeah, Kevin White.
Everyone thought that way,
right? So like, there was so much optimism, and it was because of what surrounded Mitch. I don't think it was ever because of the talent of what he was capable of. There was some of that, right? There was some of that. But we all knew, I think if we could all go back and we were all blind and we said, this is player X. And in 5 years, this is player Y. X is Mitch and Y is Justin Fields. We were all like, who's more talented? We would all say Y. And that's why we're all so excited right now and why we're trying to rush the clock on him. But this is just what we dealt with in 2017 when Mitch was a rookie because we were all excited. We all wanted to believe. And for 2018, we loved it. And for bits and pieces of 19 to 20, it was there, but it just never came to fruition. But that's because of what was built around him, and it just never happened. We have to wait for that still for next year.
Absolutely. And there's some things here that I want to address in the comments. We got Joseph Matuzak and Protestant Stonehenge. Appreciate you guys here in the comments. If you guys have any questions or comments, we're going to try to get to all of them. Leave them in the chat. We're here to help you. This is Bears Nation Tuesday Night Therapy. We are here to help you guys make you feel better about your team. But I want to address this comment here. Joseph Matsuzak says, this season, if anything, will put an obvious highlighter on what they need and what they can do with the fat budget coming in next season. Who's to say Poles doesn't turn 7 picks into 20? And this is a good point because, again, like, as much as we hate losing and as much as we hate the situation that the Bears are in, you also, with every, what do you say in life? When you make a mistake, you make it a learning moment. You know what I mean? And if you make every mistake a learning moment, you're going to be a heck of a lot better person because of it. And right now, the Chicago Bears should be, learning a lot. Yeah, they're making mistakes and they're struggling, but at the same time, they're learning. And the things, to me, as you enter the offseason, or even this season, right, are very obvious in what needs to be changed, what needs to be fixed. And before we even address 2023, there are ways, there are things that can and should have been learned and ways to change those things in season, meaning before next week. You have this 11-day period before, from that last Thursday game against the Commanders until this Monday night game against the Patriots. And we've already heard from Eberflus that, and I actually think I saw a source on Twitter today say the line is going to look different, right? The problems, as Joseph Matsuzak has said, the problems have been highlighted, okay?
Yes.
The offensive line isn't good, and it starts at the center position, all right? Clear highlighter. You can put it down. You can put a Post-it note on it as well, right? Like everyone on earth knows. So in those situations, what do? Well, you fix it, right? That's the number one quality for the best head coaches in the league is adaptability and response to adversity and willingness to change, right? And if they go into that Monday night game with Lucas Patrick at center, because he's been bad at guard, right? He's been terrible at guard. He's been one of your worst offensive linemen at guard. But guess what? Maybe he's not that bad at center. You might as well try it because it can't get worse than Sam Mustipher. Throw him at center and then throw Schofield or Alex Leatherwood, who's now healthy, at left guard.
Or Ja'Tyre Carter.
Or Ja'Tyre Carter, just somebody else, right? Then, you're making changes. And the reason why, and that's a good thing, right? This is what the better teams in the league do. They don't stick with what doesn't work. You know what I mean? If there's something wrong, you're gone and someone else comes in. I don't care how hard you're working. And we talked about this before. I think one of the reasons they keep Mustipher in there is because they think he's a hard worker, and that's good and that's great. But if you don't produce on the field, you haven't earned the reason, you haven't earned, the reward to be out there on a snap-to-snap basis. But just the other thing about this comment is, again, there are a lot of other teams in the same situation as the Bears, where you enter the offseason with question marks and not really knowing what the issue is. What do we need? What do we prioritize in the offseason? What's the fix here? How do we make this team better? And you don't know. And that leads to, well, the GM maybe does the wrong thing. Maybe they spend money in the wrong areas. Maybe they spend draft picks in the wrong areas. I think for the Bears, at least the way we see it, because we believe that the quarterback is still good enough to be a Super Bowl winning quarterback for this team, it's clear as day how to fix this team. That blueprint is so freaking clear. It is detailed out for them. Bullet point, bullet point, bullet point. You do this, and if you follow this formula, there's a damn good chance you could win the division next year, because the Packers are probably done after this year, and the Vikings are going to be year after year a beatable team, and the Lions might be better, but they'll probably be beatable as well. It is in front of you. Like, the answers are there. Improve at wide receiver, spend your money, improve at offensive line, spend your money, probably get a new 3-tech and an edge rusher, and you're probably a 9-10 win team next year if you do all those things. So it's just to say that everything is highlighted. It's clear, because I know in situations like this in years past, Colin, I've been having to do this show for 4 years now. And we ask Jake and I and everyone that's been on the show before, and you, and we ask each other, like, what is going on and how do we fix it? And sometimes you don't have an answer, because sometimes things are so bad you don't have an answer. We have the answers now. So that's the positive thing. God, there's so many comments here. Real quick, let's get through it.
There's a lot. Yeah.
Protestant Stonehenge, you looked seriously frustrated last week. I actually do want to ask you about this real quick, and then we're going to get to the rest of these. I promise you guys. There's a lot of people who are upset about the way Justin Fields carries himself, okay? And I kind of want to I want you to express your viewpoint on this as a quarterback, and just putting yourself in his shoes, where I've talked about this before. Whole life he's a winner. Whole life he's never struggled like this before. Boom, he's struggling. Things aren't going his way. And he's got the weight of the city of Chicago on his shoulders, and this fan base and this ruthless, media market and everything. And there's a lot of people who they look at his body language and they don't like it. They don't like that he's frustrated on the sidelines, that they're making it crap out of the breathing thing. I just want to get your sort of opinion and viewpoint on that as a quarterback yourself, how that feels, and just sort of your opinion on that.
Yeah, I feel like so far I've been in the same boat as Justin, up until now. Like, I've been on successful teams. Like in high school, HF, we were very successful all, my freshman, sophomore, junior, senior year. And obviously with club football, we've been successful now, I am the guy. You ask all my teammates, I am the guy who gives the rah-rah speeches. I am the guy who's loud, who gets real fired up. I get real lasered in. And Justin he said, I'm not that guy. I'm not the guy. I'm just so locked in. No one even wants to hear me talk, and I don't blame them. You know what I mean? He said, I don't even want to give that speech because I couldn't rile people up because I'm too locked in. That's just how he is. That's probably how he grew up. Like, not everyone is going to be the same. Like there is an in-between of like Tom Brady, fiery leadership, and Aaron Rodgers disconnect, and the Russell Wilson corny, leaders. Like there are lines that lie in between, and Justin is in between there somewhere. And like I think people are like now just getting like a glimpse into what quarterback life is like, especially now with TikTok. Because like, let's take the Chargers and the Bills TikToks. I think those two are like the two NFL teams that really take pride in their social medias. So like every day, like it's like, oh, Josh Allen, he's so funny. Josh Allen has his personality. Or like it's like Justin Herbert is like, oh, he doesn't like the attention. He's humble. So I think people they want to see something out of Justin Fields that like they can stick to him. And they haven't got that yet. Great but that's point. Like, why does Justin himself does not care about that? Like, as an NFL quarterback, and you were getting paid millions, and you're trying to win games, would you give a damn about what people on TikTok have to say about you? Unless you're like Kevin Durant, or Juju Smith, maybe. But
yeah, right.
That's not the situation we're in. So, the body language, it will probably improve. I mean, winning cures all. We said this. If they start winning games and everyone starts playing well, which might not happen soon or this year, might have to wait for that. But once that happens, like he'll probably be the guy smiling and laughing and clapping.
What happened after week one? What happened after week one? What was his reaction after week one?
Exactly, man. Like he hates losing, as everyone should. He's one of those guys that just is not used to being in a struggling situation. He was the number one player in the country his senior year. And he I think, some outlets had him and Trevor Lawrence 1 and 2. It went back and forth. Doesn't really matter. Then he went, to Georgia, and everyone said when he was at Georgia, like, you're going to lose him if you start Jake Fromm. And guess what? They did. And Georgia could have won a national championship, but they didn't because they didn't because they didn't keep Justin Fields. And Ohio State was, a snap away from making the national championship in 2019. And then obviously, they were kind of overmatched by Alabama in 2020, but Justin Fields carried that team and they fought for a little bit in that game. But regardless, like he's always been the guy and now he's still the guy, but he just doesn't have it around him. So, I mean, Kevin, you're right. You know exactly what to say. Everyone should know what I'm saying. It's just different for him now. And people are going to find a way to hate on Justin Fields. I don't know why there is this crowd that just seems to love to hate Justin. It's not like it'd be different if it's like Baker Mayfield, where it's like he does all the commercials and he's all rah, and da-da-da. It'd be different if he was like that, but like he doesn't do that. So I don't know, people just love to hate, a winner, or they love to hate someone just for no reason. So that's what's going on.
Here's the best way I can put it. How many times did you see Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan be satisfied with losing? How many times did you see those guys be giddy and happy and not look frustrated when they were losing? Right now, it didn't happen very often for those guys because they're the greatest basketball players of all time, but it's the same sort of idea. Kobe Bryant wasn't, all giggles and smiles when they were losing, and neither was Michael Jordan. But when they were winning, those personalities come out. So when you are obsessed with winning and obsessed with being great, it is mentally tasking when you struggle. But it's not to say Justin doesn't have the adversity or doesn't have the capability to bounce back from that adversity. A couple other things real quick here. We got all these chat comments. Jeez. JF can't be Lamar from Joseph Matsuzak. JF can't be Lamar Jackson / Cam Newton mold. He needs to play more into the Rodgers style of slippery. It'll make his speed last longer through his career and will save him lots of ribs. This is I understand. I see where you're coming from an injury prevention standpoint, but this is the problem this is the thing that Bears fans need to understand. This is what Kellen kind of alluded to earlier when we were talking about the offense. This goes back to the thing we talked about last week when Bears fans are mad when Justin Fields rushes for a first down on 3rd and 10. Like, this is what's going to make Justin Fields great. This is 40% of the reason why he's going to be a great quarterback is because he is a one-of-a-kind runner. You know what I mean? And he's in that probably second tier of running quarterbacks in the league, and he's just an absolute game breaker in that sense. Take that final drive of the game against the Commanders, that rush for 51 yards. There's not a lot of other QBs in the league that get you in that position. There's probably 3 others at this given point in time.
Mm-hmm.
Lamar, Kyler,
Josh
Allen.
I'm with you. I'm 100%.
Can't think of another one. So I understand people like, well, he's got to play longer. He can't keep getting hit. Like, true. Don't get me wrong. Like that is true. But you can't. This mindset from Joseph Matsuzak in the chat is probably the same mindset that Luke Getsy has, right?
Right.
You can't turn him into somebody he's not.
Who is he more like, Aaron Rodgers or Cam Newton? Be honest, right? Who is he more like? You don't have to make him exactly that, but he's not Aaron Rodgers. He's not that. He has to be Justin Fields, and you have to build the playbook for Justin Fields.
Absolutely. And oh man,
therapy.
Yeah, and this is let it out. This is good. Nano CBD. We need no line. Just run the ball 90% of the time and play action, slants, and screens 10% of that. JF1 isn't broken in half. Yes, to an extent. They do need to be doing more play action. They do need to be designing more plays that make it easier for him to get the ball out sooner. And we saw a little bit of that. We saw more of that in the Vikings game. We saw that in the Minnesota game. I think we talked about, I don't remember if we talked about, I don't think we actually ended up talking after that game because we had the Thursday turnaround. But they had success in that game. Why? Because they established a rhythm with speed outs, with quick slants, just, get on time, We understand in that game, Danielle Hunter and Zadarius Smith aren't going to make things easy for you. So you know what? We're going to get the ball out in under 2 seconds. We're not even going to have to worry about our offensive line. Receivers did a good job of getting open in that game, and it worked, right? And it seemed like they sort of abandoned that against the Commanders. Protestant Stonehenge, thank you, he says, exclamation mark. I see them making trades soon. Who do you see being flipped? It's actually a good question. Trade deadline about a month away-ish. If I'm being honest, I don't know if they'll trade anyone, and here's why. You lost the value for Robert Quinn. I don't think you can trade him for anything at this point because you had your opportunity. He hasn't succeeded, and no one is going to play your hand now and give you the value you wanted for him in the offseason. And if anything, I think you should be in the market for a player at the trade deadline. If it's true that DJ Moore is on the block, or if it's true that Jerry Jeudy wants to get on the block because the Broncos need to kind of recollect some picks that they gave away after the Russ trade, I don't think he's a guy that's going to go for a first-round pick either. You have to get help for Justin now if you can. So I would honestly go into the trade deadline with the idea that the Bears are going to be buyers instead of sellers.
Yeah, I agree.
Which is crazy to think, but that's the way it is. Shane M., good to see you in here. Fire Getsy, get O-line, draft wide receivers. This is actually something we should probably adjust. Kellen, what are the odds? Like, Eberflus is here. The Eberflus is not going anywhere, not on the hot seat.
I like Eberflus.
So I like Eberflus too. We can talk about that. But what are the legitimate odds they fire Luke Getsy? Because offensive coordinators, the leash for a coordinator is a heck of a lot shorter than the leash for a head coach, obviously, because you can cycle through them and, you could admit as a head coach, well, maybe I made the wrong hire. Let's give another guy a chance. It can't be this bad. I think if things continue to struggle, they could fire Luke Getsy.
And if they do continue to struggle, they probably should, because they're look at the Ravens, and the Ravens have a really good O-line in the past, and they've had good O-line, but they don't have great playmakers. And I know Lamar hasn't played well the last week, but that offense is humming a lot better than our offense is humming, and there, you do have to have good players. You have to have good football players to be a good football team. But guys aren't getting open. Guys are not being schemed open. Justin can't throw to anyone that's open. It's just everything is too difficult right now. We've said that before too. It's too hard to play offense for the Bears. It's too hard to be Justin Fields right now, and it just shouldn't have to be that way. I don't want Luke Getsy to be fired. I hope Luke Getsy can come into his own and realize that he has to build this. But if I don't see that from him, absolutely, get him gone. There are better.
I'm with you.
Go get fucking Joe Brady, who's the QB coach for I think he's the Bills QB coach right now. That guy He should be
Is
calling
he?
plays in the NFL right now. I think he's the
He was a
Bills.
head coach candidate for the Bears. Like people were talking
Yeah,
about him during the
people were talking
season.
about it, but I don't know if he was as
Yeah, he's the
highly
quarterback
contended
coach of the
as.
Bills. So
Yeah, dude, fucking go get that guy. He coached the greatest offense in the history of college football, and not saying that translates to the NFL, because that was also the greatest offense, skill, talent wise, that the game of college football has ever seen. But I mean, come on, man, like this is the thing, and Joe Brady is not a guy that comes from that West Coast, that Shanahan Bill Walsh scheme. Like, he's kind of a little bit more nuanced. He's more of that spread type of guy, that guy that runs a lot of shotgun, and again, maybe that's not what Justin needs, but I will say right now, I trust Joe Brady to figure it out. If I had to pick, I would trust Joe Brady more to figure it out than I would Luke Getsy. Absolutely, 100%.
what about this, Calvin? This just popped into my mind. I don't know if he's equipped to be an offensive coordinator yet, but he's in the best offensive system in college football. His ability, yes, I am talking about Coach Hartline. I mean, come on. The guy's going to get he's if he doesn't get a head coach job in the NCAA within the next couple of years, I'd be astonished. And if he doesn't, and this is a guy that played in the NFL, he's got plenty of NFL connections. I wouldn't be surprised if he just made the jump from wide receivers coach at Ohio State. Well, he's not even the wide. He's what, like offensive.
He's the wide receivers coach and pass game coordinator.
Pass game coordinator, right? I mean, come on. Not only if they. Oh my God. If Brian Hartline becomes the offensive coordinator, and again, for those who do not know, Brian Hartline is, he just said it, passing game coordinator / wide receivers coach at Ohio State. This is the reason why every single freaking #1 top wide receiver recruit in the country wants to go to Ohio State, is because of this man. If they put him on the Bears and then drafted Jackson Smith and Jigba, and then you have those two guys who played under him in college, Justin Fields and Jackson Smith and Jigba. Oh my God, I just dreaming of it now. But tell me why I'm wrong, because I feel like you're skeptical about it.
I think Hart he loves Ohio State. He likes being the receivers coach. I think he likes recruiting. He loves recruiting. I know it does. I know it does. I don't know Coach Hart well enough yet, and even if I did, I wouldn't speak on it and what he would have planned, obviously. But I don't know. I don't think that would happen. But I mean, would it be cool? Yes. I mean, he tweeted out during the Thursday night game.
Yes, he did.
Stink, and he's right. He's right. Like, Justin Fields would probably be better off throwing to Julian Fleming, Emeka Egbuka, Marvin Harrison, and JSN right now. He probably would be better off throwing to them.
Yeah.
That's just the situation and the hand that we are dealt. Coach Hart, if you're watching this, I love you. I'll see you tomorrow at work.
Yeah, I'm sure he is. What's up, Coach Hart? Let's go through these comments. Let's fly through them. Timothy Wire, if Poles lets Monty go, what are your thoughts about drafting Illinois running back Chase Brown? Yes, if he is going, he's a good player, man. Again, I got to go watch the tape too, but he looks pretty damn good. I will say this again and again and again and again and over and over and over and over. Don't draft a running back before round 5. Exhibit A this year, or round 4, Dameon Pierce was a 4th rounder. Can you do the research for me real quick? Dameon Pierce, right? Look at in Kansas City. Isaiah Pacheco was like a 7th rounder, and he's already become, an asset in their offense. You can go to a ton of guys in the league. It doesn't matter anymore. I don't like if Dave Montgomery understands the market and the trends that exist now for running backs and their salaries and their contracts, and takes a pay cut, and you're able to afford him, sure, go for it. But I would be totally fine with Khalil Herbert and a guy they draft in the 5th round. Trade down in one of the rounds, accumulate another 4th or 5th round draft pick, and take a running back who could be just as good. Breece Hall, I want to say Breece Hall was like a 3rd.
He was a second rounder.
Second rounder. Yeah. Like, and I was thinking about this the other day. I was like, how Bears would it be if we got a top 10 pick and just took like Bijan Robinson or something?
Yeah, that would be very Bears of us.
Everyone's calling him the next Barry Sanders, but don't take a running back before round 4. You could find guys who are just as talented and as effective for your offense. It's like it's a broken, like, drafting running backs past round 4 is the most obvious value play that you can make in the draft. Okay. And if Chase Brown is in that range, I would be totally fine drafting him, to answer your question, Timothy Wire. Nano CBD. If the Bears run the ball for 280 yards a game, then we could talk about wide receivers.
Not happening. I mean,
Joseph
that's a lot of yards.
Matsuzak. Need wide receiver / youth / center plus left guard and positive improvement on left tackle. Yep, 100%. Those are, and then
I believe in Braxton Jones. Actually, I've been pretty impressed with Braxton Jones so far. I know he struggled with Montez.
He got exposed last week for sure, but
I don't think he's put in a position to really win a lot of those reps. I mean, offensive linemen, when they're asked to set, sometimes it's very hard to win those reps.
Yes.
So he absolutely did get exposed, 100%. But I've been impressed with him so far.
Remy Grant, he's here, our guy. He was the one that was here with the candle last time. My guy Nate, the Johnny Knox stuff. He said, who's going to pay for the goalpost? You know what? Their $1.5 billion budget at Tennessee can pay for that goalpost.
Yeah.
That doesn't cost that much. But that thing is in the river and it's gone forever. Also from Protestant Stonehenge, as fans, we want him to do well. Just not sure yet because he has nothing around him and not sure if this is a fair evaluation. Yeah, you might think so, that as fans, we want him to do well, Protestant Stonehenge. But let me tell you, there's a lot of people that are out on Justin Fields. There's a lot of people who are totally fine with the Bears if he was not the quarterback of the Bears next year. So I know a lot of us here in this chat have a certain opinion on him, but you'd be surprised. Like, I work in sports radio. We get callers. You'd be surprised about what the general narrative around Justin Fields is, because it's not positive. Shane M, I don't get why people get mad when he runs. Yes, 100%. This is something we'll talk about till the day we die, I guess. Like, it's just one of the reasons why he's great. Shane M again. My dad looked so depressed when we lost Thursday. Man, you should have seen me at the stadium.
I was gonna say, man, I bet Kevin and his dad were not very. They weren't too pretty.
I mean, like, and let me tell you, I said this to Jake. There's truth about the energy you feel when you're at a stadium and the energy that is given off by a team, and it's a collective synergy between everyone in that stadium, the fans, the players on the field. It's just collective, right? It's a synergy. And you felt it for the first drive once they got to the 5-yard line, and you didn't feel it since. Like, there was nothing. Like, there was no hope. There was no energy. They try to get the fans riled up for third down, and we would get riled up, but we knew even if we stopped them, you weren't scoring. The offense didn't look good. Like, I don't know. It didn't feel right. It didn't feel right there at Soldier Field, and that's not the way you want it. Like, you're at home on prime time. Like, it should feel electric at every single moment, and it just didn't. And I was really frustrated. But again, results have something to do with that. I'm Scott has showed up. Dudes just got here, he says. Shane M, Justin could be dead by week 12. I hope not. Because this is the other thing too. Like, not the only reason, but the good thing again about the Bears in comparison to other teams like the Broncos or other struggling teams like the Texans, or who else is struggling? The Lions still, even, right? Their offense is great. They're struggling. Like, the good thing is each week you have something to watch. Like, and you're going to feel pretty damn good about the team, even if they lose and if Justin Fields plays well. So within every single game that you watch, there's like moral victories that exist. You know what I mean? Like, if the Bears lost and we put up 40 points and Justin Fields passed for 350 yards, I do not care. I am ecstatic. Like, I care a little bit because building a winning
this year
really
you don't care. Next year it'll probably be different.
Right. Like, I'm still a proponent of winning, and that's the most important thing you can do for a young team and a young head coach, to establish that what we're going to do for this franchise is win, and that's the standard. Yes, and I'll die on that hill. But, if Justin Fields plays well, it means you get a higher draft pick. I can't really argue against that. Shane M says, call PA drag wheel, PAY drag wheel Getsy. Call that good old Madden play. Tiff in the chat. I don't trust Poles, Flus, or Getsy. Wow. Well, you must have trust issues, Tiff. And this is why we're here at Tuesday Night Bears Therapy. Get you over your trust issues, because it's too early to not trust these guys.
Getsy, I can understand. Flus,
Getsy, yes.
I mean, what? I'm fine with both of them so far.
I'm fine too. I have my criticisms of them without a doubt, but just remember how you all felt about Matt Nagy after 6 games, right? You wanted to make him the coach for the rest of time. You wanted Matt Nagy to be here forever. We loved him year 1. And I'm sure the fans in New York are feeling the same damn way about Brian Daboll. All right. And he's doing good things, but head coaches require patience. as far as evaluating them.
Yep.
Tip also says maybe the Bears can invite Ryan Day and Brian Hartline to come for a day and tutor our coach.
I said
God.
I said to my boss last week, I was like, I mean, like, we don't play games on Sunday. Like, do you think they can just like call Coach Day and he can just like come up for just a day? Like these are
Dude,
the plays and let's run them.
I mean, not even that, but like, do you remember how much you follow the Bulls?
Um,
Like ish,
good.
like a little bit.
A little bit.
So like Kobe White obviously hasn't been very good. He's been sort of a
Mhm.
bust, right? He's been a bad
Mhm.
player. And Roy Williams came to one of his games at the United Center, just showed up, and Kobe put up like 36 points on like record threes in his career. And everyone's like, oh, it's because Roy was there. So now I'll be thinking, let's just get Day out to a game and Justin's going to have the game of his life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like one
Mhm.
of those dumb things that just makes sense.
Listen, the plane ride from Columbus to Chicago is only
It's
about
not bad.
45 minutes.
It is
Coach Day
not
can make
bad.
it and then get back in time for Sunday practice. I know he can.
Yeah, absolutely. You would know. Yes, it's a 50-minute flight, and they got private jets there, and he's a
Yeah, they do.
millionaire. So, did I hear Brax? Yeah, the leader of the Braxton Jones fan club, I am Scox, is here to defend his guy. Shane M says the Facebook armchair coaches want Trevor Siemian. Not only did Kellen and I hear that at Family Fest, I heard it on Thursday. I was gonna text you. I heard it on Thursday.
I'm not shocked. I'm
Yeah,
not shocked you heard it.
The guys behind me. Where's number 14? Justin sucks. I almost got into a fight with them. I mean, not a physical fight, but a verbal fight.
A verbal altercation, yeah.
Yeah, I just, I can't physically fight anyone right now because of my shoulder, but I just, boy, these idiots. Like, that's the one downside of sitting in the grandstands of Soldier Field is you got some fucking drunk ass dummies up there.
Yeah.
Let me tell you that. Okay. All of these great comments. We're going to get to all of them. Anyway, I want you to talk a little bit. Again, we're here to make you guys feel better. We're here for about probably 9-10 more minutes here.
Yep.
The best, I think, aspect of this team through 6 games, especially on Thursday, has been the secondary. And Kyler Gordon is a player who's developed since week 3 after he was kind of exposed. Kindle Vildor has apparently been like the 5th highest graded cornerback according to PFF. Jaquan Brisker is a dog, and Eddie Jackson is, I think, up there tied, if not one behind the league leader in interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
This secondary is freaking good. Mm-hmm. And all of these guys, they're young, and they're all on contracts that put them here through 2024. Woo! I'm feeling good about that secondary, Kellen.
Yeah, this is good stuff. I am better than watching the it's just got the TV. But yeah, no, this is good stuff, man. Jalen Johnson, he got called for that one flag that was so BS. Kevin's audio only. It's just me. This is my podcast now. But it's cool to see Jalen Johnson really step into this top 10 corner type of talent level football player. He had that great play in the end zone on Terry McLaurin where he played the hands super well. Terry maybe had a step on him, and it wasn't a great throw for Wentz, but it wasn't a perfect throw. It actually wasn't a bad throw. It was just good coverage. Kindle Vildor, I said it to Kevin. I don't remember when it was, but I said I still think Vildor can have some juice. I think he still has a place on this team. I don't know where it is. I thought it was at nickel, and I thought Kyler Gordon would be outside. But as of right now, that's the opposite. And Gordon is having his struggles as a rookie. He's kind of going through it. But he had his highest graded game against Washington, and Washington has a pretty damn good receiver core. Now, again, Carson Wentz is not a great quarterback right now. But to go against Terry McLaurin and Curtis Samuel, who's a very good wide receiver too, and Jahan Dotson, who is going to himself mold into a probably very good wide receiver too, and Dyami Brown. Kevin's gone again. Dyami Brown, who is their 4th receiver, and they're probably going to end up trading him because the other 3 guys are all better. But they've got a really good receiver core, and for us to perform the way we did, and I love the way they're using Jaquan Brisker. We saw him make a sack. He's making plays in the backfield. He's all over the place. We see him coming off the edge multiple times. Obviously, we kind of got busted on that a little bit in the Giants game, but that was just the way that we were coached to do that. I love it. Eddie Jackson is resurged. Kevin is back. I'm looking at him with wide eyes right now. But no, this is good stuff. Kevin rage quit. No. There is no rage quitting on Justin Fields.
Sorry about that. I got computer issues today, man.
It's all good, man. It's about time that you had the issues and not me. So
did Shane M really just say he got Kindle Vildor as superstar X Factor? Okay, that's too far.
I think Shane M is just a Madden god. I think,
dude, he really is. But like, I mean, don't they have to like give out like the X Factor to him, or like can you like earn it with like using him and like gaining XP? I don't know, because like in no universe, even if it's like a superstar card, should he be an X Factor? But he's been good. Like, don't get me wrong. Oh man. Jeez, Kobe White is a bum. Yeah, we get it. Bulls season starts tomorrow. That is good. Do you need to give? This is a good question. Protestant Stonehenge. Do you need to give a GM 5 years? What is the timetable? This is a great question. I think 5 years is probably too long. I think we knew both good qualities and the bad qualities of Ryan Pace within like 4 years. But given the situation that Ryan Poles is in, it might need to be that long, just because the situation he walked into was shit. Like, he walked into a crap ton of or a terrible number of picks. Hold on, my mic is switched here.
Sorry, when my computer disconnected, my mic got switched. My bad about that. He walked into negative salary. I mean, not actually negative salary, but it sure seemed like that. Where a
bad salary.
You're paying $40 million to guys who aren't even on your team anymore, right? You walked into virtually no draft picks, and he created like 11. Or he didn't create 11. He created like 4 and turned it into a total of 11. Like, the situation that Ryan Poles was thrust into is way different than a majority of situations that other GMs are thrust into. So for that, I think his timetable, his need, just because of his situation, should be 4 to 5 years. Yes, that's what I think about it. Because now that changes. If he drafts C.J. Stroud or Bryce Young and is an idiot, I'm out on him. But from what I've seen, you got to give him some time.
Yeah, and I think they all believe in Justin. I think they all. I think when Mike came on, the Bears are rap game MGK. Oh my god! I think when Mike came on to Tuesday Night Therapy the last time we had it, he made a good point where he said Poles just went to Getsy. And I get to Flus and to Justin and was like, this is what you got. Like, this is all I can give you. I'm sorry, but this is the hand I was dealt. And this, in turn, is the hand that I'm dealing you. So for a year, just going to have to bear with it. That's probably a real conversation that they have had. And if they didn't have it before the season, they're probably having it now. So it's I don't even remember what we were talking about, because the last thing I remember was talking about Kindle Vildor, Superstar X Factor.
The GMs.
But there you go. I think Ryan Poles will be here longer than 5 years. Some guys know how to build a team, like Joe Douglas, but they just missed on the quarterback. Like, I think Justin Fields, if he was with the New York Jets right now, would be great. Like, he might not be amazing yet. But Zach Wilson, I saw a tweet yesterday that was like, Zach Wilson is who people want to think Justin Fields is. And Zach Wilson has not been good. Zach Wilson, just like I said he would be, not good. Not good. Zach Wilson, the game is actually moving too fast for him. He doesn't have the athleticism that Justin Fields had. And his arm is not as strong as people think it is. He just makes the off-platform sidearm throws, and they look really cute. I'll admit, as a quarterback myself, I can love and appreciate that. But it doesn't make you a great NFL quarterback. So I think both the Jets and the 49ers messed up. And I think, Trey is hurt, and he wasn't looking great when he was healthy. And Zach has had his struggles now. But, yeah, the Jets have Garrett Wilson, and they have a solid O-line. And they have what's LaFleur's little brother's name? Mike LaFleur. He's calling plays, and he's not amazing. But they have a solid little set going on over there. I'm very happy for the Jets, and their defense is pretty good too. So they've got a good football team going, but they missed on the quarterback. And I think Joe Douglas is going to get one more shot to get the quarterback right. And if they get it right, they are going to be successful.
Right. Absolutely. And, it's sort of a common a theme with the Jets that I think does apply to the Bears to an extent. And really something that's kind of got lost this year with all the negative talk that's surrounded the Bears and all the issues on offense. And obviously everyone's pointing out the issues, defensively as well, and all these different things, right? Yeah, they're bad and the personnel's bad every day. Blake Gollig's bad. And the thing that kind of, to me, has gotten lost that I sort of realized, again, when we do this Tuesday night therapy, it's a realization for me, and it's in the title, that it isn't as bad as you think it is I know this is sort of like a fraudulent silver lining, but the Bears also haven't let games get away from them. Right. And this is actually a really, really important thing, because you remember the bad Bears teams of years past, right? The 2014s, when you lost to the Patriots 51-14, or when you lost to Aaron Rodgers 45 points in the first half. I think it was like 42 in the first half.
It wasn't good. Yeah, I know.
It was 42, I think, because it was the 6 touchdowns. But the Bears have done a good job of not letting it get away from them. And this is and you even look at the team last year. Things got away from them last year. And this is against, the Bears haven't played the greatest of opponents, but still, in that game against Tampa last year, it got away from them in the first quarter. They went down. They ended up losing that game, I think, 31-3, right? In that game against the Rams, it got away from them. They ended up losing that game by, 2 scores. Things got away from them last year. They're staying in games this year. And it is, to an extent, a testament of the coaching staff and a testament of, the culture of this team of sticking together and playing hard till the final whistle and making halftime adjustments. I mean, that's the key thing is, you can go down, and they've gone down in first halves this year. They went down 10 to the 49ers. They were down early to the Packers. They clawed and tried to make that a game, and should have made it a game if they call that Justin Fields, touchdown there. It's a 7-point game. They never have let it get away from them. And to me, that's important. Yes. Am I reaching? Am I looking for silver linings there because this team is bad and this is what I can do to make myself happy? And because it says it on my sweatshirt, I'm an optimist. Yes. I am sort of reaching here, but at the same time, I see other bad teams around the league, or even other good teams around the league, who have let games get away from them. I mean, just get blown out. The Packers, they let that game get away from them in the end of it. And there was no fight. There was no effort by them to get back into that game. And I've seen it from teams, who are good teams. And I haven't seen that from the Bears. And I think that's a very, very good, important thing in my opinion. I don't know if that's just a me thing. And am I reaching here, Kellen? Am I reaching?
Yeah, I think you're pretty spot on. I agree.
Yeah. Again, there are things to be positive about. I'll give you a couple minutes to think about it, and I want you to list. All right, I want you to give me a little list. 3 things positive about the Chicago Bears. All right, 3 positive things about the Chicago Bears that all the people listening, all the fans, not of our podcast, but of the team, can take away and walk away from this podcast with, and remind themselves that, hey, not everything is bad. There are a couple positive things. I'll start because I'll give you some time to think about it. Once you have them, if you got them ready.
Now you go first.
Number one, I alluded to it earlier. The number one positive that probably arguably matters the most is, as it relates to comparisons to other teams in similar situations as you, is you lead the league in cap space going into 2023 by a significant margin. I think they have $30 million more cap space than the next best team, the team that's in second. You have that, and you have 7, probably 8 first round, not 8. I keep saying that. 8 awesome. Total picks. 8 first round picks would be great. You'd be a Super Bowl team next year. 8 total picks if you include the conditional that they'll likely get from, I believe, losing Allen Robinson is where they'll get that from, and I think it'll be a 4th round conditional. So you are having 7 or 8 picks in the upcoming draft and $150 million in cap space. No one else in the league can say that they have the same amount of resources than you do. And that is arguably
going to get us a comp pick. Is Andy Dalton going to be that?
I would have to check. I don't know. The rules on the comp picks are always foggy to me. I got to go back and read how to qualify. The rules are so weird. If someone in the chat is smarter than I am and knows, pop it in there. But regardless, you're getting all those picks, all that money. Other teams in your situation, again, I'll use the Broncos as a great example, are the same record as you. They have no money. They have no picks. and no resources to make their team better. You do. The Chicago Bears do. And that's the positive that arguably matters the most, because our timeline, yes, did we believe the ceiling was 9 to 10 wins this year? Yes. And, if a couple of things go their way.
I was going to say they're not too far from that. They're a few snaps away from it, from being 4-2 right now. Yeah.
If they're just competent, Kellen. If they were just competent, like not even good, just competent, they beat the Giants and they beat the Commanders and they're 4-2. All right. Like the Bears are not that far from being 4-2. But anyway, the schedule was always have a ceiling of 9 to 10 wins this year. But the schedule was always the Super Bowl window starts next year. And if that was always the schedule, and we got teased because you get off to a 2-1 start and you make everyone believe that maybe this year the schedule begins. No, everyone knew from the moment that these guys were hired that 2023 was the day, the year that Super Bowl window opens. And you have all of the means to turn that into fruition, to make that be the year that you start contending, not maybe for a Super Bowl immediately in 23, but at least for that division, 100%. So to me, that's the number one positive. Okay.
Kevin, real quick, before you go to the next one, the Bears have it projected on SpotRec right now. They have $105 million in cap space projected right now for next year. You know who's second place is the Falcons. You know how much money they have? $56 million.
Oh my
It's
God.
a $50 million drop off between first and second place.
God.
$50 million that the Bears have to spend more than the next most team. That's a lot of money. Go ahead.
You left me speechless. And what I'll say to that is, again, people watched Monday Night Football last night, and I'm sure, naturally, Bears fans were pissed that you got rid of Khalil Mack because he has 6 sacks through 6 games, and he was a game wrecker in that game. But you don't have $100 million in cap space if you don't trade Khalil Mack. You know what I mean?
Khalil Mack would not – I mean, what is he going to do?
What's he moving the needle for this team?
Right.
He's not moving the needle for this team. I mean, he's moving the needle, but he's not
winning the
equating
Super Bowl
to wins.
for us.
Let's put it that way.
When we traded for him, we thought we could win a Super Bowl. That's why we traded for him. We're not there anymore.
Again, the bottom line is, we'll go to you next. The last thing I'll say is, next year, or at let's say April 15th, that's the date I'll throw out for the sake of receipts. And there's a couple of Twitter accounts that they retweet tweets that are predicting the future. On April 15th, when the Bears have, or wait, no, because the draft doesn't happen until late April. Let's go May 1st. Okay. When the Bears have drafted Jackson Smith-Njigba, when they have acquired T. Higgins, when they've picked up I can't think of the offensive lineman market, other offensive linemen, you're not going to give a single shit about the way that you feel right now and about unloading Khalil Mack and about how much this sucked this year. You're not going to care because all of it is going to be fine and you have the resources to make this team better, and they will make this team better. They have no incentive to save money beyond this year. They're getting more money as this year concludes because they don't have to pay Nick Foles anymore. They don't have to pay Andy Dalton anymore. They don't have to pay all these people who are currently not on the team. They're going to accrue money after this year, and they will spend their money, okay? And everything's going to be just fine by May 1st, 2023, and we're going to turn back to the Bears are contenders plan. Justin Fields is going to be back, and everything's going to be great. The positives are there. It might be a rough next couple of months. It's okay. As everything in life, it requires time and it requires patience. Be patient. Take your time. It's gonna be all right. We're gonna be good, baby. We're gonna be good. But let's hear the positives. Let's hear the positives. Cheer them up.
Yeah, I gotta say, man, and no matter what people think, we still have a hell of a talent at quarterback. I know people want to hate on him, but he can do things that not a lot of other guys in this league can do. We've seen him make the throws. Let's go to the Steelers game last year. Let's go to the Lions game last year. Let's go to the Vikings game this year. Let's go to the monsoon game where he was making really good throws. He's done it, man. We just need to see it consistently. We need to build around him. There's not a lot of optimism as far as the play caller, but either things will get better or things will change, one of the two, because they have to. Because if they don't, then Eberflus will lose his job. And Eberflus is in charge of that coaching staff, and he's not going to put his job on the line because the offensive coordinator can't do his own. So That's kind of like a half. I kind of cheated with that one, but Kevin's not capping. That's right. Remy Grant talking about stop the cap. That's right, Shane. You speak to him. Kevin is not capping. A second thing is the defense is set. We don't really have to spend a lot of money there. We do need a 3-tech would help. And yeah, I mean, Roquan is probably going to be gone, whatever. Fine, draft a linebacker, sign a linebacker. Doesn't really matter. The money will all be spent on the offense, right? And my friends like to tease me about this because I'm very optimistic about the Bears. And I brought this up to them. I said, well, the Bears could get DJ Moore. They could get T. Higgins. And they were like, the Bengals aren't going to let T. Higgins go. Do you realize the Bengals are going to have to pay like six players like 90% of their cap with Jesse Bates, DJ Reader, Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow. They're already paying Tyler Boyd. They're paying Joe Mixon. If they want to pay T. Higgins, they can find a way to do that. But guess what? No one will be blocking for Joe Burrow that's worth any money because he won't have any. And as much as a luxury it is to have T. Higgins, that's a real thing. Like the Bengals are going to have to pay their good football players. That's a real thing that is going to happen. So I think that's a realistic thing. And maybe it's not T. Higgins. And I said to this, like, what about Terry? What about like Terry McLaurin could very well be fucking pissed about his situation.
Great conversation we had about that.
We know wide receivers love to be divas and force their way out of situations. Why would and DK? I would have made this argument for DK, but Geno seems to have a really good thing going on over there with the Seahawks. So maybe he's not the guy to think about it. But who's to say that Debo won't want to push his way out? Who's to say that Terry won't want to push his way out of Washington, or T. Higgins does want to be the wide receiver one somewhere? Because I love Darnell Mooney, and it'd be 1A, 1B. It'd be remain to be seen who would be the number one. But I'd probably lean towards T right now. Calvin Ridley, that's another one. Calvin Ridley would come here. And like, again, this is all speculation. Like Lorenz and all of my buddies who probably watch this stuff, like they could look at me like, Kellen, you're a fucking idiot. But Kyle Pitts is probably very frustrated in Atlanta right now. He's probably very frustrated. Now, does he force his way out after a year or two? Probably not. But eventually, someone in Atlanta is going to have to be like, yo, Arthur Smith, I know you're having success, but you have a unicorn on your football team, and you're not using him. And Kyle Pitts knows. Justin, guess what? Justin Fields and Kyle Pitts, friends. I think they have the same trainer. They have the same agent.
Simeon Kelly takes photos of both of them all the time. He's going to be on our podcast on Thursday.
Kyle Pitts to the Chicago Bears. Let's fucking do it.
And here's the difference, right? I'll end it with this. I talk about this all the time because this is what Bears fans or fans of any team do. Anytime there's a guy who's reported on the trade market, everyone, Bears, it's got to be the Bears. Like, we got to be involved, even if it's completely irrational. Well, guess what? You're at a time now, and this hasn't been the case ever since Ryan Pace was here, because his nature of being a GM was he didn't save up picks. He didn't load up on picks. He didn't load up on money. He spent his money. He didn't ever have money where you were in play for guys who eventually were in these situations asking to be traded. And when that happens, those guys who are asking to be traded, they're asking to be traded, not only to be traded to that team, but to also receive a contract extension with that team. And the Bears were never in a position to do either things, either have the picks to trade for a player like that, or if they did have the picks, pay that player at the time. Mm-hmm. You're in a situation now where, DJ Moore, these rumors, they make sense now because you can afford him. You have picks to unload for him. You can pay him a contract extension. He's not a scenario because he already got paid a contract, so you don't have to pay him. But these other guys you're talking about who are in situations Terry McLaurin, who are coming up on that next wave of contract extensions. Well, did Terry get paid? He's coming up on it, right?
Terry got paid, yeah.
He got paid, right. We had this conversation about the other group of guys that are coming up on it. But anyway, you finally are in a situation now where, again, that disparity between first and second in cap space is $50 million between the Bears and the next best team, which you said was the Atlanta Falcons. And finally, they have the means now to get that top free agent, to get that top guy, because they have the money, they have the draft picks, and they're in play. And the thing is, and I've said this for years, people like this is the Chicago Bears you're talking about. You don't have to reel anyone in to play for the Jacksonville Jaguars. You don't have to reel people in and even play for a team like the Tennessee Titans, which isn't as attractive. Some players don't care about that, but a lot of guys do. This is a historical franchise in a top 3 market. It's good for your brand. It's good for your money. And if you come to this city and you win, you are a legend. And people around the league know what this team means to this city, and it's attractive to some people. Justin Fields has said he's happy here. He didn't want to even go to San Francisco, and that's part of the reason why. And this is going to be an offseason. I know we're talking about 2023 when we're still in the midst of the 2022 season, but unfortunately, that's the reality of it. You're going to have the ability to get top players. You have the resources to do it. It all is going to align, and you just have to give it patience. You just have to give it time. I know it's not easy, and it's frustrating. Trust me, I get it. Football is only here for 4 months. It's the short, 4 months of the regular season, about 5 months of, if you include postseason. It's the shortest time period of like any of the major sports, and it's the longest off season. And you get these 5 months and you love it so much, these 4 or 5 months, and you want your team to be good. And it sucks when you have to understand that, hey, now it's going to be 11 more months now until I get to watch this team be competent again. And it's a hard thing to grapple with, but it will be rewarding. Like I said, on May 1st, when you have all of these players, you signed big names in free agency, you drafted the guy who's going to help your quarterback succeed. Maybe you have a new offensive coordinator. Everything's going to come together. And I've never felt this optimistic and had this positive of forward thinking mindset than I do now. Not because I'm just a blind optimist, that I am, but because you have the resources, everything makes sense, and you just have to. You might not want to do it, but you have to buy into what they're selling. You have to buy into what Eberflus is selling. You have to buy into what Ryan Poles is selling. And guess what? If you buy into it and it doesn't work out in 4 years, oh well. All right. At least you can say you bought into it and you gave it a chance, right? So that's where I'm at. Kellen, do you have any closing thoughts before we head out of here?
No, man, you hit the nail on the head, man. The future is not now. The future is not now. I think that's what Bears fans need to realize, and people who are all involved in Justin Fields talk. People say the future is now. Well, it's not for the Bears. We love to have current success, and I will love when they win games, but this is not the year. It's just not. And hopefully next year is, and I think not the year, but we should see a jump. We should see some sort of jump next year that will be like we're in a window, and that's what we should be excited for.
Absolutely. Everyone in the chat, Protestant Stonehenge, Shane M. Kellen's meditating. He feels good. He let it all out in this Tuesday Night Bears therapy session. We hope you guys feel the same way. Remy Grant, Tiff. Who else was in here? I am Skox, Nano CBD, Joseph Matsuzak. Appreciate you guys coming in here and making this a good time for us, and hopefully for you. I'll take the final sip of my beer.
Kevin, play the lo-fi music.
I don't think it'll work. I had to use like an incognito. I don't think it works anymore. Like, it wasn't working. I had to talk to support, and I don't know if you hear it. I'm playing it. Maybe it's playing on the back end. But just relax, light a candle, drink a beer. Everything is going to be all right. Again, appreciate you guys tuning in. For myself, Kevin Lapka, for the man, the myth, the legend, Kellen Garrison. This has been Tuesday Night Bears Therapy. We'll be back next week. Hopefully a little bit more positive of a session, but nonetheless, we'll be here around 8 o'clock Central Time. Appreciate you guys tuning in. This has been Bears Nation Podcast. Have a phenomenal week, and as always, bear down.